Hi everyone, welcome to the Highlights from Ukraine podcast, your daily audio summary of the latest news reported in the Ukrainian media. My name is Artem, and here is the news. 618 days less the Russian invasion of Ukraine. President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelenskyy appointed Colonel Serhiy Lupanchuk as the new commander of the Special Operations Forces of Ukraine. The president said in his evening video address that Lupanchuk is, quote, an experienced officer, a combat officer, the right man in command, and someone who can bring greater power to our special operation forces, unquote. Zelenskyy added that General Viktor Kharenko, who commanded the Special Operations Forces, will continue to perform special tasks as part of the defense intelligence. Major General Viktor Kharenko said to Ukrainska Pravda that he didn't know the reasons for his dismissal and learned about it from the media. Commander-in-Chief Valery Zaluzhny also could not explain this to him. According to the officer, Zaluzhny said that there were no questions or complaints about his performance of combat missions and that he didn't suggest his dismissal to the president. The UK Defense Intelligence Review states that neither Ukrainian nor Russian forces can break through the front line, reports European Pravda. The experts believe that the reason for that is solid air defenses on both sides and the long contact line that must be held. The intelligence review indicates that the operations of recent weeks have become a continuation of a trend revealed at the beginning of the war. Other factors being equal, the balance of land combat generally favors the defending force. The Ukrainian offensive remains relatively static between the main lines of well-prepared Russian defensive positions in Ukraine's south. A large-scale Russian offensive ran into a powerful Ukrainian defense near Avdiivka. The main factor in this phenomenon most likely was the relative weakening of tactical aircraft, the review says. Both sides maintain reliable anti-aircraft defenses which do not allow combat aircraft to provide effective air support for assault operations. The United States announced another package of military assistance to Ukraine worth $125 million, reports Espresso. The military aid package will be provided from the US Army reserves. The package includes additional NASAMS and HIMARS ammunition, artillery rounds, anti-tank missiles and systems, 3 million small arms and grenade launcher rounds, demolition munition for obstacle clearing, anti-personnel mines, 12 heavy equipment trucks, cold weather gear, and spare parts. Separately, the US Department of Defense is ordering from manufacturers additional means of combating ladder-guided drones for Ukraine in the amount of $300 million. The Biden administration still has about $5 billion of the military aid budget approved by Congress last year from US supplies. At the same time, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, commenting on the announcement of military aid for Ukraine, said the US will allocate smaller aid packages due to the lack of decision by Congress on additional funding. We would really appreciate if you could rate us, ideally with 5 stars, and leave a glowing review in the app where you're listening to this podcast, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or others. With your support, we are getting better. Dutch Defense Minister Kajsa Ollongren, who recently visited Kyiv and Kharkiv, announced that the Netherlands will allocate €500 million to Ukraine for ammunition, reports LBUA. Ollongren said that the funds will be allocated by the middle of next year. The minister added that Ukraine is able to continue the struggle if it knows that, quote, we continue to send such things, unquote. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba said that Volodymyr Zelenskyy is weighing all the pros and cons of holding presidential elections in the spring of 2024, reports Ukrainska Pravda. He added that holding elections during a war with Russia would lead to unprecedented challenges. In August, the Ukrainian president stated in an interview that the elections in 2024 require legislative changes, significant funds from partners and international observers in the trenches. He also stated that he would run for president again if wartime elections were held in 2024. Also, according to Zelenskyy, the biggest challenges for elections during the war are security issues regarding the presence of observers, voting by the military, residents of the temporarily occupied territories, and Ukrainians abroad, and campaign financing. Thank you for listening to the Highlights from Ukraine podcast. We are a commercial initiative of just 2 people and we need your help to grow. Share information about the podcast, rate us in the app, subscribe to our Patreon. With your support, we are getting better. We call on you to demand from governments of your countries to impose the toughest sanctions possible on Russia and its citizens to stop their invasion of Ukraine.